Hey guys, how you doing? It's Gavin here from Starfresh Personal Training, and today's little video is about BCAAs. Okay, so you may be somebody that takes BCAAs. You may see your mates taking big bottles of BCAAs. You know, they mix the your fruity flavors, and you take it to the gym and you're sipping it, and you've been told to eat drink BCAAs before workout, after, during, all those things. Okay, so today I'm going to give you one man's opinion, mine, based on a little bit of research I've done recently, and let you know and give you some facts based on my personal experience, what I found, and you can make the decision whether or not you think BCAAs are going to be worth it for your goals and for your budget. So to put this in some kind of perspective for you guys, okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of background around the basically what the supplement industry is worth. It is worth, or it's been projected to be worth, $45 billion by 2022 by, well, I think the company was called hold on one second, Neutraceuticals World. Basically, they say that the supplement industry could exceed by 45 billion by 2022. So, put that in perspective, that's a massive, massive industry, okay? So, they are selling supplements to us all the time, okay? And they are playing on our wants and needs. They are basically, marketing to your will, your desires to have the perfect body, to be bigger, be stronger, be faster, be more ripped, and they are making an absolute fortune, right? So I'm going to give you a little bit of a story about me, where I've come from. I've been training for a long time. I guess not as long as some people, but for the last 7 years, very, very consistently. I've lost over 20 kilos of body fat, and I've maintained that body weight for the last 7 years. And I have bought these supplements, I've used these supplements, and I have bought into the hype that they're going to make me ripped, stronger, bigger, a little bit extra, okay? So I'm going to give you a little bit of a story, tell you my background, and go through a couple of studies that I've found, and then you can make your own decision. So when I started working out, okay, naturally I used to go to a lot of the bodybuilding supplement sites, okay, and that's where all the information was. They'd have the workouts on there, they'd have the supplements on there, they give you supplement stacks, and they give you free workouts, okay. So obviously you'd go in there, you'd look for a workout that you thought would suit your goals, you would do it, and then you go and buy the supplements to support the workout. So it's really, really clever actually what they do. They obviously give you a free workout, give you a nutrition plan, which is really, really good. But then they upsell you on the supplement stacks that you need. Now, I'm not a bodybuilder, I'm not a powerlifter, I'm not a physique model. I'm just a regular guy that wanted to lose some weight, to have some muscles, have some abs back in the day. And basically be healthier, okay? That is what I want, okay? So when I first started off, okay, I didn't know any better. I'd be Googling what everyone does, going through everything, and doing what everybody I felt was doing. And when I started going on a diet, I didn't really know where to start. And naturally, you go for the protein shakes, and you've been told that 30 grams of protein to take after your workout, and it's gonna, it's that little window that you need to help build the muscles, and it's really, really important. So I used to drink protein shakes. I had no idea what 24 grams of protein meant. Didn't have any idea how much protein I needed for the day. But I used to just drink on these expensive milkshakes all the time, and used to go on and on and on. And my results were okay. I was dieting. I was really training really, really hard, and yeah, I lost some weight. And it was all really, really positive, but I had no idea whether or not it was the fact that I was taking a protein shake once a day, 24 grams of protein, or whether I was dieting regularly, whether I was eating better, and whether I was weight training and doing high intensity cardio. So I had no idea what was giving me the results, but you kind of believe it's the supplements that's doing it. Obviously, that weight training and dieting is going to help, but you're thinking that those supplements are going to give you a bit of an edge. So back then, I wasn't really a person to spend lots and lots of money on supplements. And I basically did what the most common mainstream thing was, and that was whey protein and creatine. And you do feel a bit of a difference when you take creatine. You feel a bit more pump in your muscles, and it's actually quite a nice feeling. But that's what it's designed to do. And whey protein, is a nice, convenient snack, and it was good. So I used to go through it all. But then obviously as I matured in my training, and as I matured in my nutrition sort of education, if you like, and you kind of question whether or not the supplements that you're eating and taking actually giving you the results that you want. Now I see so many people who get no results, and they are chugging down whey and creatine all the time and BCAAs, and they don't get any results. From 1 month to the next, they stay exactly the same. So you got to question, and you see this a lot. You see a lot of people doing it. You got to question whether or not the supplements are actually doing any good for them, or whether or not it's an added expense that makes them feel a bit better about progression to their goals. So what I started doing was I basically kind of gave up the creatine in a way, pretty much, and I started tracking with my fitness pal, and I talk about it all the time. And when I started to learn, how many carbs, proteins, fats I needed, and started to stick to that kind of macro split, I got really good results. And things started to really change. And I think periodically I was taking protein and not, but my results never really changed. They never really got better or worse had I not taken a protein shake, because I was tracking my protein. So therefore I was eating about 170 grams of protein per day, with or without a protein shake. So when I'm saying that protein shakes are 24 grams of protein. You can get that from a piece of chicken quite easily on a modest sized piece of chicken. So therefore, when I'm checking my macro, it didn't really matter where I was getting my protein from, and the shake was irrelevant to my diet. So, I kind of sort of felt, am I wasting my money, and am I getting the results I'm getting purely from my diet? And that's pretty much what was happening. Fast forward a few years, then I became a personal trainer. I became a nutrition coach through Precision Nutrition. And then you really start to look at, actually all this hype around certain supplements. It seems to be pretty flawed. You get people telling you in these, educational environments, saying that, these are a waste of money, these don't work, these may have benefits, it's inconclusive whether or not these have benefits. And essentially you begin to really question the supplement industry. And you really begin to question whether or not it's just a waste of money to buy these supplements. So I, even though I was a nutrition coach and thing, I started to I was on a forum and I got a little bit sucked into BCAAs. I didn't really know much about it. I didn't really study about it. I heard about it, but didn't know what it was. Anyway, my results are kind of staggered, stopped a little bit there. I wasn't progressing as well as I had been. And I thought, yeah, man, BCAAs, I'm in like Flynn. I'm going to have the best body. It's going to give me the best muscle gains ever. So I started taking BCAAs. And when I took my wife to the supplement store nearby, I spent about just over $100 on a big pot of BCAAs. Read the side, dosing was around 2 scoops a day, 14 grams of BCAAs a day. And my missus thought it was nuts. She goes, what are you buying that for? And I said, it's going to give me the edge. Convinced of it. So a month goes by, not much difference at all. Didn't really feel any different. I probably pushed myself in the gym a little bit more at the beginning because it's a bit of a placebo effect. Taking a new supplement, really engaged, really motivated, really good thing. But obviously because I was tracking my macros, tracking my weight, tracking my body measurements, not much changed. And I appreciate that these things take time, so I give it another month. 2 months, 8 weeks of pretty hard training, hardly any different. And I generally don't think they made any difference at all, had I not taken them whatsoever. So I kind of debunked it. I thought, okay, I didn't really know what they were. I knew they were branched chain amino acids. I knew it was in protein, but I didn't actually really know anything about it. I didn't bother to look at it. It didn't bother me. I had pretty tidy results anyway. And I was still training, and I just moved on. Job done. Anyway. I then got into a discussion with a colleague of mine, and he's one of these people that take tons and tons of BCAAs, and he just said, I'm not sure if they work or not, but it makes me feel okay. And I thought, well, good on you, man, if that's what you want. So I decided to do a little bit of research on it, okay, and thought I'd just do a video, do a blog on it, and give you some information where you guys can make your own judgments. So what's a BCAA? Okay, well, BCAA are essentially three amino acids that make up the other 19 amino acids. Okay, and they are made up of leucine, valine, and isoleucine. Okay, that's pretty much three branched chain amino acids. And the only acids that are not degraded in the liver. Okay, so when they go into the bloodstream, they stay there, and they actually can get used, they get oxidized as energy, which the other ones don't seem to do. Anyway, you can get BCAAs in a complete protein. They just build up complete protein. So if you're looking at chicken, fish, eggs, the BCAAs in those. Okay, so I think in about 170 grams of chicken is about 6.6 grams of BCAAs, and in one egg is about 1.3 grams of BCAAs. So therefore, you can, if you're eating enough protein through your day, you're getting enough BCAAs in your diet anyway. You don't need to supplement with it, and that's really, really important to know, because if you're drinking a BCAA, you're only getting, I don't know, 8 to 14 extra grams of BCAAs per day. So it's not really all that important, and it's not that much, in the grand scheme of things. So when I was eating 170, maybe just over 200 grams of protein, I was getting tons of BCAAs in my diet. I didn't need any extra. I didn't need to supplement with it anyway. And that's something you need to think about as well. Do you need to supplement? Is your protein intake there, or isn't it? So for me at that point, I just generally believed it's a waste of money. I was 14 grams of protein extra in my day, BCAAs, and getting it anyway, waste of money. Light bulb went on for me, and I thought, well, that's just pointless. There's no point. So doing a little bit of research, as I just said, and what is absolutely true is that BCAAs are important for our health. We need BCAAs. We need protein in our diet. It's so important. And everywhere you go, we need. People will say you need protein, and protein is the building blocks of our body, is the building blocks of everything, our muscles, our tissues, or hair, or nails. Everything comes from protein or skin. So you do need to have it. So if you're really, really, malnutritioned, a protein supplement is going to be really, really good for you because you're malnutrition. But if you're getting enough protein in your diet anyway, you probably don't need it. So due to my hunt around for a little bit more information, there's lots of inconclusive studies about BCAAs. But the one thing that is that comes through time and time again on nearly everywhere you read is simply that BCAA supplementation is completely unnecessary for people who take in adequate amounts of protein between 1.5 and 1 to 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight. And if you're eating that amount of protein, BCAA supplementation is completely unnecessary. So I went to examine.com, I'll leave some links down below, and there was one study done. I'm just going to look off my notes right here, and there's I paid for a fitness guide basically, and with lots of information on it. What they basically say is that BCAAs are a secondary option for supplements for people. And they say many studies have investigated the effects of BCAA supplementation on exercise, and these effects proved minimal. Mostly BCAAs were found to relieve cognitive fatigue during exercise lasted more than 2 hours. This could be useful for athletes who need to maintain hand-eye coordination for a long game, such as hockey, football players, as an example. So if you're an athlete and you've got that kind of sport, then BCAAs may be good for you. But if you're just like me and you, go to the gym 45 minutes, 4 or 5 times a week, we don't need it. We don't need that extra cognitive function to do it. So it's going to be an extra lot of money. It's $100 per month roughly on BCAAs that you probably don't even need. So another couple of studies I found, okay, I'm sure you can find some more yourself. One of them was a study showed on in BCAAs intake on fatigue. So people say that you don't get as tired when you take BCAAs. And one of the conclusions was fatigue as assessed by a power output test on following a prolonged exercise of 6 to 8 hours of skiing failed to demonstrate any anti-fatigue effect of BCAA supplementation relative to carbohydrate placebo, and appeared to reduce the weight loss non-significantly, basically. So what it's saying is that it doesn't have any effect at all. And it was like they obviously mentioned there was a carbohydrate placebo. Carbohydrates give you energy, okay? So do protein to a degree. But what they're saying is that BCAA supplementation didn't make any difference at all to the level of fatigue the athletes faced. Another one regarding muscle soreness. People will tell you to take BCAAs to prevent muscle soreness. Now, muscle soreness comes from putting so much stress on the muscle that it causes the muscle fibers to tear. That was caused the soreness, so they rebuild and you get stronger. Anyway, test protocol of small mountain climbing in older individuals noted that a 51 gram amino acid mixture trended towards, but was not significantly better than placebo at reducing muscle soreness and fatigue. Again, inconclusive. Is it really worth that much money for you guys to be supplementing with something that's not even proven? I got on to another one around fat loss, looking at trained men. Okay, so when I didn't get to see a lot of results back in my little example back there, is because I was trained. I was already training really hard. So this study looked at trained men, and they were given 14 grams of BCAAs for 8 weeks, and very, very similar. And this, what I did and what I found is different. So I'm just saying I went for about 8 weeks as well. And again, alongside a routine lifting plan, BCAAs promoted fat loss, but the summary stated, evidence regarding muscle protein synthesis and BCAAs is promising, so it sounds good. There are a few problems with interpreting the research. Aside from being externally funded by the producers of a supplement, that's a big thing as well. It was further confounded with glutamine and citrulline, and possibly also B6, as this study used Civation, a product known as Extend, despite not disclosing that outright. So what happened was that the supplement company run the study. Therefore, they found that it kind of promoted fat loss with 14 grams. So what they're saying is that the supplement company funded the research so they can put on their sales thing that reduced fat loss in trained men. Can you believe it? Would you believe that study come from the product that you're going to buy? Would you believe it? Would you honestly trust it? I personally don't. I think that they put their own spin on it. They're not being as honest as they could be. I believe that for genuine people, you and I, me, my experience, I got just as good results without taking BCAAs. Supplementation, BCAAs in my protein, BCAAs in my whey protein and in my food. Absolutely, you need it. There's no doubt. But do you need to supplement with? That's what we're talking about. I don't think you do. I think you're better off spending $100 on some on basically chicken or fish. And let's face it, you can get 1 kilo of chicken for about $10, $11 in New Zealand. You can get a lot of chicken for $100. And that's going to feed you for a long time, for a month, and you're going to get a better quality of protein. Probably you're going to get a better, a better meal in, a better all-round diet in. So therefore, in my opinion, it's not worth the effort. Okay. What you understand is that muscle growth, fat loss takes time, but above all, it takes consistency and it takes action. And you need to be doing this stuff every single day, consistently, long term, day in, day out. And there was another study I read recently, or somebody spoke about, a guy called Lane Norton, who's got a PhD in nutrition. He talks about in trained people, you're only going to build about 2 kilograms of muscle per year. And that's pretty consistent as well. If you start looking at, unless you're a newbie or a beginner, and you can put on a lot of muscle to start with because you're not used to training. If you've been training for a long time, you're only going to get small amounts of gains throughout the year. And 2 to 3 grams of extra muscle per year is really good, provided and that's optimal. That's when you're training hard, your nutrition's in check, and your rest is good. All those things. So it's not a huge amount of muscle to build. So when people are telling you you're going to build tons of muscle by taking BCAAs and stuff, it's not going to happen. They're basically pulling your leg. They're basically not giving you the whole story, and they're basically marketing to your wants and desires of something to happen quickly, when in actual fact, it's not going to happen quickly. It's going to take its time. So that's pretty much my take on BCAAs. Are they worth it? No, they're not worth it. I think you're better off buying proper food. I think you're better off going for a solid weight training program. I think you're better off using MyFitnessPal or some other kind of tracker to track exactly what your macros are, proteins, fats and carbs. I think you would get better results long term and more sustainable results by doing that. Anyway, I've got all the links down below. You can go through the studies yourself. If you find any other studies that are basically independently done that debunk all this other stuff, I'd be really, really interested. Okay, check them down below. Leave a comment, it'd be awesome, and I'll comment down below as well. find this video useful, do us a favor, subscribe, give it a like, send it, share it to somebody else. It would be awesome. So, like I say, guys, start fresh. If you don't make a change today, how will tomorrow be any different? Cheers.